Hi everyone, it's Lindsay with High Altitude Astrology, and today I'm bringing you a video about the new moon that's happening at 25 degrees of Virgo on Thursday, September 17th at 5 a.m. in the morning Mountain Time. And I have the chart up on the screen, and I want to just jump into it by reading what the degree of this new moon is. This is from a book called Inside Degrees by Elias Lonsdale. And this is what he says about 26 degrees of Virgo, because you always take the minutes, you account for the minutes. And because this is happening at 1 or 2 degrees, 1 or 2 minutes of 25 degrees Virgo, we actually read the 26th degree because it's moving now. Like the 25th degree is complete. It's now moving into the 26th degree. And this is what it's titled: An Old Man Counting Coins. Getting your bearings, determining your limits, finding a reality fix, making sure that everything is there, checking out the manifest details over and again, coming down to earth and becoming sober and straight and clear. You are overwhelmingly convinced that there must come this cleaning up and clearing up. Sick and tired of pretense and hype, hungry to get down to basics, and somewhat hooked on the quantitative intelligence. Blurring distinctions, intent upon being viable, correct, and self-sufficient. If all these things are taken up with a twinkle of humor, they are digestible. But if they become self-serious and a little too proper, they are deadly and sickening. You learn to throw off the attitude and to cleave to the substance of getting things right, unapologetically and steadfastly. So this very much sounds like very Virgoan to me. That is what Virgo is about. It is very detail-oriented, task-oriented. It is about health and healing. It is about eliminating. And that is the time of year actually that Virgo relates to. We're actually in Virgo season right now with the sun in the sign of Virgo, and it's the end of the harvest time, and you're gathering everything together, separating the wheat from the chaff, I think it's called, and you are really creating distinction, and you are really seeing things in a clear way, but a responsible way, and a way that is about really focusing on what needs to be done. In a way, it's like it's very symbolic of health, Virgo. So it's about like getting it together, basically, like really being clear about what we want to hold on to and what we want to get rid of. So that's the essence of this Virgo new moon, because new moons are always about beginning times. They are seed planting times. And we have one new moon every month, so usually. So this is a time where we can begin to plant the seeds about how we want to, in some ways, sort of clean up our own act in our own life. And what is it that we need to look at very clearly? What do we need to work on? What do we need to eliminate? It's a great time to start any health routines, any cleanses. If you want to get rid of some kind of habit that you've gotten used to. These are all very Virgo new moon activities. Cleaning up your house, just really putting the effort into shaping things up and cleaning things up. It talks about coming down to earth and becoming sober and straight and clear. You are overwhelmingly convinced that there must come this cleaning up and clearing up. Sick and tired of pretense and hype, hungry to get down to the basics, and somewhat hooked on the quantitative intelligence. It's a very rational energy that we can use in order to really, again, clean up and clear up our lives. So if we've been feeling like, we have to, make a decision about something that's good for us, or, realizing that it's really time to eliminate certain aspects of things in our life that aren't serving us, this Virgo new moon would be very helpful for that. Now, speaking of helpful, another aspect of Virgo is to be helpful. And so that can sometimes be the Achilles heel of Virgo, because sometimes we're humble with Virgo energy, and we want to help, and we want to, be the person who's not necessarily the star of the show, but sort of maybe is more in the background, sort of doing the tasks. And but this is an interesting new moon, because it's actually trine Saturn exactly. And you can see Saturn here is at 25 degrees of Capricorn. Now, Saturn is still retrograde till the beginning of September, but it's in its home sign of Capricorn, and Saturn is the taskmaster. Saturn is, in some ways, the teacher. Saturn is the effort that we use to put towards getting things accomplished. And in the sign of Capricorn, this is a very driven Saturn. This is a very organized Saturn. This is a Saturn that's focused on its goals and ambition. So it's nice that we've got Saturn trining this Virgo new moon, because it's actually giving the new moon energy a little bit more of, I would just say, kind of not a hard edge, but just a little bit more oomph in being able to make those choices and move towards those goals, and not feel perhaps some of the worry or concern that can sometimes come up with Virgo energy when we overanalyze things, or we're thinking through things too much. And Saturn's more about like getting the job done. Now, I mentioned Saturn's retrograde, so that is a time where the Saturnian energy becomes more internal within ourselves and more self-reflective. But again, that just could be lending towards us realizing in our own lives where we might need to be putting more effort towards getting the things accomplished that we want, or where we need to create boundaries or create structure in our own personal lives. So again, this trine is very harmonious, and will cause the energies to blend easily together. So again, new moon, seed planting time in Virgo, around health, around organization, and trining Saturn, the planet of discipline and the planet of concentrated, focused energy, hard work, structure, working with this new moon to help us accomplish new goals. And there's a few other things that are happening at the new moon time. Just before the new moon, at 4:34 Mountain Time, we will see that Mercury here at 17 degrees of Libra is going to be squaring Jupiter at 17 degrees of Capricorn. And Mercury is about our thinking process. And Libra is about wanting to create harmony and balance and fairness. So that is where the mind energy is at this time. It wants to find balance. So perhaps that's, balance within our own understanding of things in our lives right now, or balance in the way that we communicate with others and what might need to be communicated in order to create balance. The Achilles heel of Libra sometimes can be not wanting to necessarily disturb the balance per se. And so it could find itself a little bit in indecision, like which way should I go, which choice should I make, because it's it's almost like paralyzed, seeing all the options, and wanting so much to express fairness. But it is a cardinal energy, Libra, which is about directive action. So ultimately, if we're looking at things from a fair and balanced perspective, we should be able to come to decisions with Mercury and Libra. The thing is, it's squaring Jupiter in Capricorn. Now, a square is a challenging dynamic that can cause tension, that we have to sort of struggle with a little bit in order to find the best way to express these two energies together, because they both want to get their energy out. And Jupiter's a philosophical perspective. It's the higher mind. It's expansion, growth, and optimism. It rules the sign of Sagittarius. So this combination of Mercury, our thinking and our communicating, with Jupiter, expansion, growth, and optimism, could suggest that there's a lot of energy in the air, where we're coming up with a lot of ideas, and we have a lot of ways of thinking about how we want things to go, and where we want things to go. Jupiter's kind of really there, kind of puffing up the mind, and coming up with a lot of ideas, and coming up with a lot of potential plans and directions to go, and ways to expand and grow our lives. And in the sign of Capricorn, it actually is definitely more grounded. Now, Jupiter has become direct recently, so it's now in its forward motion. And in the sign of Capricorn, Jupiter is what's called in its fall, which means that it's almost like it doesn't operate as smoothly, Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn, because if Jupiter's expansion, Capricorn is limitation, ruled by Saturn. It wants to contract. So there's like two struggling energies there with Jupiter in Capricorn, but that can also mean helping Jupiter kind of like be a little more grounded and be a little more, realistic. That would be one expression of Jupiter in Capricorn. So I would say with these two energies, Mercury squaring Jupiter, we should just very much be open to new ideas and ways that we can expand and grow, but just taking heed, and really with Jupiter and Capricorn, it might be like there might be some fear, around maybe the new directions that we're having to consider going. But again, with Mercury and Libra, this is, weighing all the options and deciding what makes the most sense, and what creates really the most beauty and harmony in our life too, because that is what Libra is also looking to do. It wants to feel the peace and the balance and the harmony. So not necessarily a negative dynamic with the square here, just something where we need to be cautious of just being overly optimistic, but at the same time realizing that if we just take some measured steps towards our goals, that this energy with Mercury and Jupiter can bring kind of a levity to new directions and inspired thought around new ways, new directions in our life. And the other thing that's happening at this new moon time is that the sun will be trining Saturn as well. I mentioned in general, this new moon is going to be trining Saturn, and that moon trine Saturn will be happening at 4:42 a.m. Mountain Time, just before the new moon. And then the sun trine Saturn happens later in the day at 3:36 p.m. Mountain Time, and that's the sun in Virgo trine Saturn in Capricorn. And so this is just a kind of a reiteration or a solidification of our light, our will, our our purpose, our identity energy in the sign of Virgo. Again, that sort of parsing and creating distinction, and some Virgo qualities are also detail orientation, discrimination, refinement, autonomy, helpfulness, health consciousness, logical analysis, and dutifulness, attention to technique. So again, with the identity expressing itself through that Virgo energy, trining the Saturn in Capricorn, the things that we choose to start at this new moon time are going to be heavily supported by this dynamic. And they're really going to help us set new goals, move in new directions, especially related to our health, our work, being of service, detail orientation. You know, all of this Virgoan type of energy is going to be very well supported by that Saturn trine. So the last thing I'd like to share about the new moon is a card that I chose from a tarot deck called the Voyager deck. And the card that came up is called Aspiration. And it's the Four of Wands. And wands symbolize our spirit, which you might coincide with the sun in astrology. And wands are associated with our eternal light. And they mean, in this particular tarot, living in the light, therefore possessing high character, perceptivity, and energy. Character virtues are achieved through the purifying light of the spirit. Light is symbolic of perception. When you see, you throw light on the subject, seeing the truth. You see the light. Firelight symbolizes your inner heat, your energy, and life vitality. So that's just what wands symbolize in this particular tarot deck. But to me, just that alone is speaking to this new moon chart. This is really a chart about purifying. This is a chart about perceiving and throwing light on a subject, seeing the truth, seeing the light. And it talks about character virtues and about how when we're really connected to our light, that is about having character. And I think Virgo has something to do with that, because Virgo sees distinctions. Virgo is discriminate. It's about purification. So I see this chart really as a chart that is symbolic of moving more into this purifying light and doing that in our own lives. So the Four of Wands specifically, Aspiration. The hand in the card, symbolic of upward moving fire light, represents your aspiration to fulfill your noblest ideals and highest potentials. Like the spire, you aspire to the heights. You are a seer of possibilities, a visionary. Like the hands, spire, and monument bursting out of the earth, your spirit cannot be contained. You need to liberate yourself in order to freely be all that you can be. Through your expansive and active fire energy, you reach out for your goals, smashing through blocks with your fist. You pierce resistance with focus and will. And you burn out oppressive obstacles with the torch of illumination and purification. You burn out oppressive obstacles with the torch of illumination and purification. And I just think that's a perfect reading for this chart, because that is what Virgo's about. It's about purifying. And this new moon chart with the sun and the moon in Virgo is suggesting that it is a time of purifying, and that we have a lot of energy here with the trine to Saturn to really begin to make those strides with effort towards any aspect of our lives that we're wanting to purify. And again, going back to the other aspect of the Mercury, the Mercury in Libra trining the Jupiter in Capricorn, we really might be able to see where in our lives we've perhaps been, you know, not acting in a purified way. We will have an opportunity here to find more balance in our thoughts and in our thinking if we have been overextending ourselves in certain areas. And with that Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn, we can, we can set new goals, and we can, tap into perspective that is more grounded in reality and that has really a structure to it. So just a really, amazing time for us to all set new moon goals that deal with just really, becoming more discriminate, really, in our lives, and using the energy to purify and to make strides towards our goals. All right, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like my videos, please subscribe, and I will see you at the next video. Take care.